Amazing. So when I was in the back, they said that that immaculate voice that we heard was a voice of God. And I said, maybe if I close my eyes real tight, that it would be the voice of our leader, none other than our late, great Greg Jocko Jackson. Right? This is amazing, and it is a pleasure to be here with you. Hello, Brooklyn. Hello, Brownsville. I know y'all want me to say everything else, but I'm gonna keep it on, keep it on. It's great to see so many fellow Brooklynites here today for this very exciting announcement. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge some special guests that are with us today. Of course, I'd love to acknowledge our host, the Brownsville Recreation Center. Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, so I'll say hello, East New York. And I'm going to ask that we all hold our applause until the end of each of the acknowledgments have already been concluded so that we can keep the program moving on. Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke. I know you couldn't help it. New York City Public Advocate Tish James. Do not let the basketball court fool you. This is not a game. Our own Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez, Senator Jesse Hamilton, Senator Kevin Parker, Senator Roxanne Prasad, Assembly Member, our leader, Nick Perry, Assembly Member Maritza Davila, Assembly Member Jamie Williams, Councilmember Alika Ampry Samuel, Councilmember Matthew Eugene, Councilmember Alan Mizell, former Congressman Ed Towns, former Assemblyman and Commissioner Darrell Towns. I also want to acknowledge our NYCHA tenant leaders. There were two that I saw, Lisa Kenner and Reggie Bowman. If there's any that I missed, stand up, take your bow, sit down. For our clergy, I want to introduce the East Brooklyn congregation. We know that they roll thick, so we'll acknowledge them in unison. Reverend A.R. Bernard, Reverend Al Cockfield Jr., Bishop Orlando Finlater, Reverend John Williams, and will all of the other clergy and faith leaders please stand to be acknowledged? Thank you. Let me also introduce my bishop. I know my bishop is here, Bishop Richard Wheelis. I don't think my pastor's here. Also, I'd like to introduce Madam LaRae Brown, who is a president and CEO, and all of the board members from One Brooklyn Health. I'd like to also acknowledge District Leader Anthony Jones, Earl Phillips, Secretary Treasurer to TWU Local 100, Nelson Rivera, Administrative Vice President to TWU Local 100, Joyce Neal, Executive Vice President of 1199 SCIU. Like I'll do the kids in school. When I clap 2 times, you clap 2 times. And when you hear that second clap, that means. Karen Alfred, the Vice President for Elementary Schools, UFT. And all of our brothers and sisters from labor. Yes. From the Governor's Administration, Alfonso David, Counsel to the Governor. Linda Lacewell, Chief of Staff. Fran Barrett, who is no stranger to this community, and I want to take a moment just to honor her because she's back home as well. Kareem Kamara, Executive Director, Office of Faith-Based Community Development Services. Paul Francis, Deputy Secretary for Health and Human Services. Our Queen Ruth Hassel Thompson, Senior Advisor for New York State Homes and Community Renewal. Ruth Ann Visnauskas, the Commissioner for New York State Homes and Community Renewal. Baraka Williams, Assistant Secretary for Housing. And Dr. Howard Zucker, Commissioner of New York State Department of Health. Today, we will first hear from your governor, Andrew Cuomo. LaRae Brown, Chief Executive Officer and President at One Brooklyn Health, will then walk us through some of the details of the announcement. We will then hear from Senator Roxanne Prasad, Public Advocate Tish James, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, and Representative Yvette Clarke. Now, Central Brooklyn has always played an essential role in the fabric of New York. But for decades, our community has been neglected. While other communities were benefiting from new investments and new projects, we've seen communities left behind. Since the first day that I got into office, I saw that change had come, and that change was under Governor Andrew Cuomo. Under the governor's leadership, New York State is taking action and making a transformative and comprehensive investment in Brooklyn. The Vital Brooklyn Initiative represents the largest ever investment in the Central Brooklyn community. And it is a great testament to Governor Cuomo's commitment to Central Brooklyn. He understands the challenges we face and is working with us to lift up Brooklyn families. The fact is, there is no stronger friend or advocate for Central Brooklyn other than Governor Cuomo. I don't know, Governor Cuomo, we have some buzzwords around here that we do in our community board. How much is this initiative? They being nice. So the fact is, I would love for you to join me in welcoming, stand on your feet if you are seated, if you are able to help us give a hometown welcome to the Brownsville, East New York, Cypress Hills, East Flatbush, Ocean Hill, Brownsville, Crown Heights, Bed-Stuy community. Please join me in welcoming the 56th governor of the state of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are we fired up today? Do we have Brooklyn in the house today? Do we have Brownsville in the house? Do we love Latrice Walker? Do we love Roxanne Prasad? Do we love Tish James? Do we love Hakeem Jeffries? Do we love Yvette Clarke? Do we love LaRae Brown? You're darn right we do. I'm going to stop. Do you love me? I'm going to stop right there. Do we love $11.99? Let me say this. First, this is really an exciting turnout. I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you're all part of it, because we're talking about something today that's going to make a real difference in people's lives. This is something we've been talking about doing for a long, long time. but it's never really happened. The older I get, and I'm getting old, big 6-0. No good news when you turn the big 6-0. Best news is they say, well, 60 is the new 50. But you know what? 50 stinks too. Only thing is it's better than the alternative. But the older I get, there are not a lot of new lessons to learn. It's just learning the old lessons and actually implementing them and making them happen. The new movement now is everything is about wellness. North Shore Hospital, which is a big part of what we're doing with One Brooklyn Health. North Shore hired a fancy consultant to change their name and their image. They came up with Northwell to make up the point of wellness. They paid the consultant a lot of money to come up with Northwell. I told them I would have done it for a mere $5,000, saved them a lot of money. Concept of wellness, that individuals are one body. They are one person. And if you want to help a person, it can't be a piecemeal approach. You have to help a person's totality. It's the same lesson that Reverend Bernard and Reverend Blakely and the East Brooklyn congregation teaches us on Sunday. It's about the whole person. It's about the whole person. It's the same thing we learned in community development. You want to help a community, you can't just do one piece. You can't just do housing or services. You have to provide everything that person needs. It's housing, it's education, it's support services, it's anti-violence, it's job training, it's a job. You have to make the community work. Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation, started by Bobby Kennedy back in the 60s. Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation said the exact same thing. You have to provide support services for an entire community. Bill Clinton started empowerment zones. Same concept. Treat the entire community. Put a base of support around the entire community. On the way here, we passed 2 projects I did when I was in my 20s. I was young once. Help One Genesis Homes, which brought on-site job training, after-school training, etc., all on one site. We know what it looks like when it's done wrong. You look at the situation in NYCHA housing in this city. That's what happens when it's done wrong. You want a young person to do well, they're growing up in an apartment building, there's no heat. There's vermin. They're not eating right. There's no support services. They're going to school. And you wonder how we get this pipeline where young people are almost destined to wind up in prison. Well, why haven't we done it right? First, it's expensive. Short term, it's apparently expensive. Second, it's hard to do. You have to work with the local community. You have to work with all the local elected leaders. We went through that process here for several months. Got to get all the elected leaders on the same page. That's always fun. We went through that fun process. Wasn't that fun, Latrice? Yeah, Roxanne, wasn't that fun? It was fun. You have to plan it, you have to involve the community, and then you have to get out of the old mindset of how government operates And you have to come up with a comprehensive approach that embraces the whole community and all the needs in that community. And what we're saying is we want to do it right, and we want to do it right in central Brooklyn. Why? Because central Brooklyn has the greatest need of any area in the city of New York. Latrice is exactly right. Central Brooklyn has been overlooked for decades, for decades, for decades. And when you look, the highest concentration of people in poverty, highest crime rates, highest diabetes rates, it all comes back to central Brooklyn. And we've had this same piecemeal approach, a little project here, a little project there. It's not going to do it. So let's do it right. And what Vital Brooklyn says is we want to do it right. Starts with affordable housing. Why? Because if you don't have a safe, clean, decent place to live, if you can't sleep, if you don't have a base for your family, then nothing else works. We have gentrification all over central Brooklyn now, pushing people out, raising rents. We're not building enough affordable housing, and we have to resolve that. You want to do it right, you have to change the mentality about the healthcare system. It's not just about a hospital where you go when you're very sick. Prevent the sickness in the first place. Prevent the illness in the first place. Have more community-based healthcare systems that are focused on wellness and health as opposed to waiting for a person to get sick and then be in acute need. Part of it is eat better and have healthier foods and make those foods available on an affordable level to communities. Vital Brooklyn, we're going to have green markets, mobile green markets that are going to move all through central Brooklyn, bringing green market food to communities. We're going to have 12 youth-run farmers markets all through central Brooklyn where we can buy healthy groceries and buy them at a cost-efficient level. We're going to have 22 community gardens that we're going to build so communities can come together and participate in their own program. We need recreation. We have to get kids off the corner. You have to get kids off the street. They have to have an alternative. We're going to rehab 4 full recreation centers in central Brooklyn so there's a place for young people to go to be supervised. We're going to have midnight basketball in the recreation centers. My father started it. Latrice is a big basketball player. She plays strong power forward, she plays. Give the power forward a round of applause. We have to be honest about the education system. We have the same failing schools that fail year after year after year. Every year, we send new kids to the school expecting a different result. That is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Failing schools have failed generations. And we keep sending kids right back to that same school expecting a different outcome. It's not about just the school. The school is dealing with the lack of all the other services. The school is dealing with the problems in the home, the problems in the community, the problems on the street, the problems of health. The school is dealing with all of that. If you understand that and acknowledge it, say, well, then we're not just going to provide a school teacher. We're going to make that school a base for services to treat the individual, the child, and the family. We call them community schools. Get the services in those schools so we have a different outcome. And we're going to build 4 community schools in central Brooklyn so we stop the madness of just having more and more kids go to school only to get the same result. And it is about providing a job for young people. Highest unemployment rate, young minority males. Highest unemployment rate. If you don't have an education and you didn't go to a high school or a college, you're not going to find a job. You're going to need to do something, and you're going to wind up on those streets. And those streets only end one place, and it's not good. Get the job training, get it in central Brooklyn. We're going to open 7 job training sites right here in central Brooklyn. And then dedicate the resources to get that young person in a job. What we're going to do is we're going to say to private businesses, you hire a young unemployed person, we will pay for the training, we will pay part of the salary and supplement the salary. But we want them to have a private sector job and earn their own bread and be learning and training and be in a career and be off the streets. We have, in this first phase, 7,600 job slots that we're going to fill with young people from central Brooklyn. You want to stop gun violence? Part of it is providing the community-based services with mental health treatment, getting young people the help they need. SNUG programs do it very well. We know how to do it. We just haven't provided the resources to do it. We're going to fund 12 anti-violence community-based programs in central Brooklyn, $1.2 million. Another thing to bring up a young person and fulfill the spiritual potential of that young person, expose them to Mother Nature. Let them learn about the environment. Let them have a broader view of the world. We're going to have every middle school in central Brooklyn participate in a Jamaica Bay and Oyster Reef reconstruction program, where we're going to take those young people and we're going to make them part of an environmental team that is restoring the bay, that are breeding oysters and clams to place back out in the bay to learn about Mother Nature and preserving Mother Nature. The total of all of this, to do it right, and Lorraine is going to talk about the healthcare component and the housing component. We're going to do over 3,000 units of affordable housing, and we're going to do it right here in central Brooklyn. That's $567 million. We're going to do 32 community-based health care centers all through central Brooklyn. And that's $210 million. And when you add it all up, to do it right, it's a $1.4 billion commitment to central Brooklyn. Now, they're going to say, oh, Governor, you're spending $1.4 billion just on central Brooklyn. That's a lot of money. And I'm going to say this, that's a savings I'm not spending money. I'm saving money. Because a lesson we haven't actualized. We've been talking about it for years. We understand it, but we haven't done it. Is if you do not raise up a young person the right way, the strong way, the healthy way, with skills that can get a job, then you're going to pay in the long term. And we have seen that over and over and over again. $1.4 billion is not expensive. $40,000 for a prison cell, that's expensive. A life of drug treatment, that's expensive. A life of a young person or a young mother with an unwanted pregnancy who has to make her way through life, that's expensive. The loss of human potential, that's expensive. The loss of human life, that's expensive. And I'm tired of doing it wrong. We're spending billions of dollars to keep more people in prison in this nation than any industrialized nation on the globe. I'm tired of putting people in cages. We'll leave that to President Trump, putting people in cages. We're not putting people in cages. We want to do it right. We want to recognize the human rights and the human potential of every God-given child. We want to live up to the promise of this country. We want to go to the place that needs it most, which is Central Brooklyn, and say, we care about you. We love you. We believe in you. We're going to invest in you. And we want you to do well and be productive. And we want you to be successful and lift yourself up. Because when you lift yourself up, you lift us all up. And when you get into trouble, and when you are lowered, we are all lowered. That's what we believe. And this program says we're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're going to spend $1.4 billion, but we're going to do it right. We're not going to waste money anymore on little programs here and there that aren't connected. Safe, clean, decent housing. A real education in a school that has the backup to help a child who comes from a poor community. Healthy food, healthy living. Experience Mother Nature. Experience the beauty of the environment. Broaden that child's perspectives. Give them a place to go at night so they're not on the street corner. Give them supervision. If they have a problem, help them before they grab the gun and make a mistake that ends a life and ends their own life. You're not going to stop gun violence by just taking the guns off the street. There are enough guns out there today. If you never sold another gun, there are enough guns out there to last 100 years. You have to stop the hand that picks up the gun and pulls the trigger. And that's what this is going to do. I'm excited because it's the first time that government has ever said, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're going to invest early so we don't have to pay later. Because the old saying's true. You can pay me now or you can pay me later. And we're going to start investing before problems are created, then paying for the problems for a lifetime. And we are going to do it together. This is community empowerment. Government is going to do what government can do. We're going to provide funds. We're going to provide the resources. But we need you to do it. We need the not-for-profits to do it. We need the clergy to do it. We need the concerned citizens to do it. You have the tools and the resources to make Central Brooklyn healthier, stronger, more competitive than it's ever been. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And there is a path for every young person who needs help and is in trouble. And let's show the world how smart it is to actually do it right for the first time and do it early, and let's do it in Central Brooklyn. Thank you, and God bless you.
I am so excited to talk about Vital Brooklyn and One Brooklyn. Since taking office, Governor Cuomo has committed to investing in long-term distressed communities, as you've heard. He's also said that it's not that the war on poverty failed, it's that it never happened. From Buffalo to Brooklyn, the best approach that recognizes that issues causing poverty, crime, and unemployment don't exist in silos, but they are all interconnected. For decades, as our Assemblywoman has said and as our governor has said, Central Brooklyn suffered the plight of community development that has failed to connect those dots and to improve people's lives. As has been mentioned, Central Brooklyn residents suffer from nearly 3 times the rate of unemployment and nearly 3 times the numbers of families receiving food assistance. And more than 80% of the folks who live in Central Brooklyn report the lack of physical activity, and 3 times the rate of murders. We cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again and not addressing these horrendous demographics. In March of 2017, many of you were in the room at Medgar Evers when the governor announced his Vital Brooklyn vision. And as he has said, this is an unprecedented community development program created in coordination with our legislators and community leaders. He's also mentioned the areas of focus: affordable housing, resiliency, open space and recreation, comprehensive education, community-based violence prevention, economic empowerment and job creation, healthy food, and community-based health care. That strategy is providing One Brooklyn with the blueprint we need to move forward. This past January, the governor announced an investment of $664 million for One Brooklyn Health System. Let me just say that again, $664 million. Now, I know it's hot in here, but that should generate a lot more enthusiasm. $664 million. Now, with that investment comes a lot of responsibility. I know. And so do the folks who are part of One Brooklyn, many of whom are in this room. That $664 million investment was to help create a sustainable healthcare network in Central Brooklyn. And let me say, I've been around a long time. I don't look it, but I've been around a very long time. And I've been talking to folks, some of who are in this front row, about the travails of healthcare or the lack of healthcare in Brooklyn for a very long time. And I am so pleased about this investment because it's important for us to have it to do things that are different. So, as part of that commitment, we are announcing that $210 million 32 ambulatory care site network that will support building additional capacity for more than 700,000 annual visits. Now, it's not going to be easy, but that is a commitment so that we can have primary care in every neighborhood in Central Brooklyn. that includes 12 sites within One Brooklyn, where there will be significant investment, $140 million, to support a range of primary care, urgent care, specialty care. It includes building a medical village on Kingsbrook Hospital campus, a medical village. But it also includes partnership, because One Brooklyn knows, and I personally know, that nothing can be done by one entity. You need partners, and you need partners who know how to do the work. So we are partnering with 6 federally qualified health centers who have had a long-term commitment to Brooklyn and who need the resources to continue to do their good work. So we're investing $30+ million for those community health centers to expand their services, to add new sites, new access points for health care in central Brooklyn. These are just some renderings, just to give you an idea. Brightpoint Health, frankly, is an organization that has very close ties in terms of its original mission to our governor. Brightpoint Health will be, at its Alpha School facility, will be creating 10,500 square feet of renovated space to assure access to people with physical mobility issues. Many times there are health centers, but they can't serve folks with physical mobility. So we're going to be investing in Alpha School to make sure that that can happen. They'll also be adding 10 exam rooms and 10 behavioral health rooms to extend to existing substance abuse programs, but to extend the services, as the governor has said, to address the whole person, to provide integrated health care services. And we are so excited about what they will be doing. Brookdale, which is one of the One Brooklyn sites, will be making investments in 6 of their community-based family care centers. Again, this is just a visualization of what those investments will look like. BMS, the Brownsville Multi-Services Center. We've got a few projects that we're working with Brownsville. One includes a 4,000 square foot health center for the residents who will be living in a new housing development, Dumont Commons. So those residents will be able to have access to more primary care services. They'll be able to get pharmacy services, telemedicine services, and behavioral health. Applaud for that. This is connecting health and housing. In addition, Brownsville will take 50,000 square feet, create 49, let's hear this, 49 new exam rooms. They're going to improve the design of their existing facility so that they can provide the capacity to offer comprehensive services, primary care, and a range of specialty services, and provide on-site labs and pharmacy services. So, as they say, one-stop shopping. Now, we ain't done yet, because we have another $40 million to invest in partnerships. And we are going to be working very closely with our legislative leaders and people in the community to make sure that we are investing in the locations where the need is greatest. Again, as the governor has said, Vital Brooklyn doesn't tackle systemic problems in silos. So it has been mentioned that there are several affordable housing developments that are occurring. Literally, there's an RFP that's out for those developments. And I should say, it's in partnership with the New York State Housing and Community Renewal Agency and One Brooklyn, because these locations, the Interfaith Bishop Walker site, the Interfaith Broadway site, the Interfaith Herkimer site, the Brooklyn Developmental Center, the Brownsville, the Brookdale site, which is not on there, but, oh, it's okay, it's all right. Those are parcels that are on the hospital's campuses, and what we have done in partnership with our colleagues in New York State HCR is to assure that whenever the developers or prospective developers are going to respond to this request for funding proposals, that they know that in that development will also be healthcare services. Healthcare services that are responsive to the people who are living in these new housing units. And that will be done in partnership with One Brooklyn Health, because it is not enough to provide affordable housing. You have to bring wellness and health together. But I'm not going to downplay affordability, because rent as a percentage of household income in Brooklyn is not affordable. 50% of the folks who live in the people who live in Central Brooklyn put 50% of their income on housing, when in the rest of the state and in the city, it's a third. It is not sustainable for folks, and we want people who live in Central Brooklyn to stay in Central Brooklyn. Every family deserves a safe and decent place to call home. And the Vital Brooklyn initiative addresses this burden with new affordable housing that encourages an active lifestyle and access to healthcare services. So, as the governor has said, in the sites that are being, for which there are proposals that are being developed today, there will be 24,000 housing units, and at every one of those sites, there will be healthcare services provided at those locations. So the good news is that those proposals, right, Commissioner, are due next week. They're due next week, and I'm going to end my comments with this. We have more to look forward to, because sometime this summer, there's going to be an RFP or request for proposals for 3,000 more units of 100% affordable housing. 3,000. So Vital Brooklyn, Vital Brooklyn. Vital Brooklyn basically is the vision of our governor, the vision of our local electeds, and One Brooklyn Health is committed to seeing that vision realized. Thank you very, very much.
Please welcome Senator Roxanne Hussain.
Hello, Brooklyn. Are you excited? You don't sound excited. Are you excited? Is this what we want? Is this what we truly need? Good. So first, I'd like to thank Governor Cuomo. Thank you, thank you, thank you for having this vision. Today, Governor Cuomo in the state of New York, we're sending this message clear and loudly across Central Brooklyn, saying, we are here for you. We're going to work to create a stronger, healthier Brooklyn, and in particular, a stronger, healthier Central Brooklyn. So we've heard today, this is a multifaceted initiative that aims to strengthen the pillars of our community. There is no one solution to deliver diversity across our community. It's not going to be done overnight. We know that. We started this journey in 2017, and we will continue. We will continue to the end that we all want to see. If we work together to improve health and well-being in our community, to improve housing, to create jobs, we can transform Central Brooklyn and create hope and opportunity for every family. Today's One Brooklyn Health announcement represents yet another example of how this initiative is delivering for the people of Brooklyn. Remember, we have not forgotten the people of Brooklyn. For too long, as my colleagues have said, Central Brooklyn was forgotten. That day is over. That's right, it is over. You can take that to the bank. You have our word on that. The new ambulatory care network will support hundreds of thousands of health care visits, and I can attest to that. For all my years, my doctors are in Manhattan. For the first time ever, I went to visit a doctor at Brookdale last week. I'll tell you that. So I'm not just talking it, I'm walking it. Actually, literally, because it was my foot. I am proud that this program is driven by the community. The community came together with the understanding that we had to come to work to showcase what is needed, not just what others are telling us is needed, but what is it that the community needs. When the community works to partnership, we all benefit from it. The governor and everyone who helped develop this groundbreaking initiative worked with the community every step of the way, and we are thankful for that. Because too often, we assume we know what communities need. And when we leave communities out, that's when our projects fail. And we have no intention of having our projects fail. The governor and everyone listened, they understood the challenges, and we are here to let you all know we will continue to work with you to ensure that Central Brooklyn receives all of the resources it deserves. Enjoy the summer, and thank you all very much.
Yay! We've heard a lot, but I think it's important that we understand that this is not a plan. This is something which is happening now. And you've heard a lot of conversation today and a lot of talking points. Let me just talk to you like I'm from Brooklyn, right? Yeah? One, the affordable housing will be for individuals who live in Central Brooklyn, right? Two, the housing will reflect your income. It will not be an AMI which is reflecting that of New York City. Three, the governor has already put in the contracts that he is going to employ women and minority business. Come on. Four, the construction of the housing and all of these facilities, we are going to provide opportunities for young people in Central Brooklyn. Come on. And then last but not least, the governor asked me to ask all of you, how many of you have been to the doctor lately? Raise your hands. Okay, we got to do a better job because we're talking about health care, and one of the worst things about being an elected official is that all of us go to funerals of individuals who die prematurely. And so we've got to go to the doctor. And like our former borough president said, take your man to the doctor. Or like our new borough president said, take somebody's man to the doctor. No, don't do that. 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 Don't. Just don't do like our district attorney of Brooklyn. Yesterday he was at that hot dog eating concert and he certified all of those individuals who were eating those hot dogs. Don't do that as well. Listen, The lack of investment, the lack of access, and the lack of opportunity, and the lack of coordination has resulted in the lack of vision. And as my Bible teaches me, as my pastor teaches me, as Reverend Brawley teaches me, people without vision will perish. And so today, this is a great day in Brooklyn, because today we are taking a major step forward to strengthen Central Brooklyn and to deliver for families in the area, families that have been for far too long ignored, families that for far too long have been invisible in the eyes of elected officials, families for far too long who have been struggling each and every day. This is a shot in the arm to Brooklyn. And so we need to be happy about today's announcement. This new Vital Brooklyn Ambulatory Care Network is exactly what Central Brooklyn needs to overcome this challenge and to lay the groundwork for a healthier and stronger community, and to make sure Brooklyn remains intact, because we are losing too many families in the borough of Brooklyn, because yes, rent is too damn high. And yes, getting an appointment to your doctor takes too damn long as well. So we want to thank the governor for coordinating all of these investments in our community. And this, again, is not a plan. It's an investment in your life and your future and that of your family. And so, because piecemeal investments in our community have never worked, and we need a stronger, more comprehensive commitment from government if we are going to make a real difference in people's lives. And under the leadership of this governor, as he indicated, it's really challenging to put us all together at a table and for all of us to agree. It was because of his leadership. And so this is exactly what we need. Vital services, a major infusion of capital and resources into a community that has been unfortunately far too long struggling. And so we want to thank the governor for this Vital Brooklyn initiative. And again, he's just not talking about it, he's getting it done. Yes. And so I want to thank 1199 for those whistles. Blow your whistles. And Neisner, as they used to say when we walked down the parkway, blow your whistle. And so it's clear as I take my seat that Governor Cuomo and my colleagues who made this program a reality recognize the unlimited potential of the Central Brooklyn community. And lastly, let me say, when Jocko closed his eyes, he had on a scratch pad, midnight basketball. That scratch pad, as all of you know, and as my sister Latrice reminded me, that scratch pad was handed to his family. And today, we're going to continue his legacy and keep his legacy alive by having midnight basketball. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you all.
Hello, Brooklyn. First of all, to our governor, to his staff, to all of my colleagues in government, to, of course, my colleague and partner, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, to our clergy. A pleasant good afternoon to everyone. This is a great day in Central Brooklyn. The vision of coordinated services, an integrated approach to addressing human dignity is being presented to us today, and it's something that we can all be proud of. Let me say that in 2014, I think it was, we received word in Washington that our hospitals in Central Brooklyn were failing, and that at some point in time, we would have to make a decision about whether their demise was going to be met or not. And between the leadership of myself and Congressman Jeffries, we worked together to make sure that we could get our delegation behind us to save these hospitals. That turned into a Medicaid waiver that brought $8 billion to our state. But that waiver also made it possible for our state, under the leadership of our governor, to see that there was something worth saving, that the hospitals, the health care, the housing, the needs of our community could not go unaddressed. And so today, it is so wonderful. It is so great to see that this vision, one shared by so many, I look at all of our colleagues sitting here, and I think that we all had sort of the same thought beam, but it was our governor who brought it to fruition. And so today, we are all proud to stand shoulder to shoulder to say, Central Brooklyn is alive and well. We're getting better. We'll be even stronger as a result of Vital Brooklyn. And now, my colleague, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries.
Good afternoon. It's an honor and a privilege to be here on this incredibly important day in the life of our community, the life of Brooklyn, the life of New York State. In many ways, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. A whole lot of things for us to be thankful for on today. We're thankful for the governor for his bold, his big, his bodacious, his billion-dollar-plus leadership for Central Brooklyn. We, of course, are thankful for these tremendous colleagues in government. I was going down the list. We had Tish James and Yvette Clarke and LaRae Brown and Latrice Walker and Roxanne Prasad. This is what black girl magic is all about. That's how we do it in Brooklyn. I don't know how the governor and I stuck on stage. So we're thankful for them. My mother didn't raise no fool. And of course, I'm thankful for our clergy, A.R. Bernard and Reverend Brawley and East Brooklyn congregations, and the tremendous foundation that they have laid. 1199, of course, is always in the house when it comes to health care. And I think organized labor, we're all thankful for the collective vision and for the strength, the ability, the capacity to have that vision and then implement it in a phenomenal way, which is what Governor Cuomo has done. We're thankful for the fact that he's recognized that we deserve to live in a community that has safe, decent, and affordable housing. We're thankful that Governor Cuomo has recognized that we deserve to live in a community with access to high-quality health care that focuses on prevention and wellness. We're thankful that Governor Cuomo has recognized that we deserve to live in a community that has economic opportunity in every single zip code. We're thankful that the governor has recognized that we deserve to live in a community where young men and young women have access to good paying jobs. And we're thankful, finally, that Governor Cuomo has recognized that we deserve to live in a community free of gentrification. And together, we want to make it clear that we will not allow, with his leadership and all of you, the gentrification steamroller to run over the Brownsville and East New York communities. Not now, not ever. And we're thankful that Governor Cuomo has given us the ability to make that dream a reality. God bless you. God bless the governor. God bless the United States of America.